Hey there guys! I wanted to do something a little special for Halloween. So for this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a life-sized gnome and lantern from Little Nightmares. To make the gnome, I used oven-baked polymer clay, as well as crafting wire for his skeleton and some aluminum foil for his head. For his head, I shaped the aluminum foil into a cone shape. Then rolled out some clay and wrapped it around the foil, making sure to keep that cone shape. After doing this, I baked it for about 10 minutes at 275 degrees Fahrenheit. That way it has a smoother texture to work with than the foil. After it cooled, I rolled out more clay and wrapped it around it. Since the gnomes have a bit of texture on their heads, you don't really have to worry too much about how smooth the clay is. I added some texture to it using a sculpting tool, just putting lines up the length of it here and there. Alright, that looks pretty good. I poked a hole in the bottom of the head. This will be where I attach it to the body later. Okay, now we can work on the gnome's body, starting with the skeleton. For the skeleton, I used aluminum crafting wire. I did my best to get the proportions right. This is how it looked after doing that. Then I twisted all of the wire together like this, starting with the neck and working my way down to the legs. It's important not to over twist it or it might break. Okay, now that the skeleton is done, I got it into the position I wanted him to be in. For this little guy, I wanted him to be warming his hands on the fire. Now that that's done, I can work on sculpting his body. I made sure to keep the neck part of his skeleton exposed, that way I can attach his head later. His hands and feet were a little tricky to do. I messed up a few times before I got them right. But that's the cool thing about clay, if you mess up, you can just start over again. You don't have to dedicate to baking it if you're unhappy with how it looks. Plus, you learn something new each time you try. When I got to his feet, I really wished I had made the legs of the skeleton just a tad bit longer. That way I could bend them into feet, and they'd be more structurally sound. I'll make sure to do that next time. Here I'm taking the backside of my X-Acto knife and giving him some little toes. When I finished sculpting his body, I threw him in the oven for 15 minutes at 275 degrees. After he cooled down, I glued his head on with E6000 glue. Don't use too much or it'll squish all over and make a mess. You could also use hot glue for this. I then got to painting him, starting with a black base coat, and going over it with gray. After that dried, I went in with a black wash. I want to really bring out all of the texture and detail I added to his head. I made the wash by watering down some black acrylic paint. Alright, he's all done. To make him stand on his own, I took a large button and glued a small circle of paper on it to cover the holes. Then painted the paper black so it blends in better, and glued it to his feet. The hot glue I used here didn't stick too well, so I recommend using E6000 glue instead for this part. Alright, there's our little gnome done. Now we can start on making the lantern. For the base of the lantern, I used a toilet paper roll and a tea light. First, I cut the toilet paper roll to the right size. As you can see here, it's not the right diameter, so I cut it to fit around the candle better. Okay, that's much better. Then, using watered down glue and pieces of newspaper, I covered the whole thing. And to make sure the tea light sits in the right place, I glued some stuff into the base to hold it up. Make sure not to glue the tea light in. You still want to be able to change the battery and turn it on and off. I cut a piece of foam board to the same diameter as the candle and glued it onto the lantern base. Now to work on the top part of the lantern. First I cut a circle of foam. For this piece at the top I used some plastic lids, but you can use whatever you want for this. For the 4 supports, I used some wooden dowels. I then glued them to a circle of paper the same diameter as the base of the lantern. Just make sure the candle can still fit in there, because this piece will be going around it. There, now we can glue the top on there. I painted it all black, and then went in with this gray. I did the same thing for the lantern base. To make the tea light blend in better, I glued a piece of paper to it that I cut like this, and then painted the sides with a mixture of black paint and Mod Podge, being extra careful to keep it away from the battery or internal workings of the tea light. I made this little candle off camera. I made sure to make it wide enough so the fake flame can still fit inside of it. I glued it onto the tea light and put the fake flame back on. Now that that's done, we can put the top of the lantern on. Don't glue this part down to the base or you won't be able to take the tea light out. Okay, now that the gnome and lantern are done, here are some glam shots. This was such a fun and easy little project. I love that I can now have a little gnome on my shelf. I might just have to make more of these little guys to hide around my place. That would be so fun and cute. Well, thank you for watching my video, guys. If you like my art and would like to support me further, you can become a patron or a YouTube member. Alright, bye guys. I hope you have a happy Halloween.